Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range with an AK. It's a Krebs custom. It's an AK103K, which means a shortened rifle. And I've always wanted to put a traditional Russian optic on an AK rifle. I've always wound up putting Western optics like aim points or EOTechs or something like that, even Chinese optics on AKs, but I've never used a real Russian red dot optic before. Now I've used their scopes with the reticles, but I've never used a red dot sight. So I reached out to my friends over at Atlantic Firearms and finally pulled the trigger on a Kobra. This is a good classic Russian red dot sight. Once you see it out of the box, I think you'll recognize it for sure. It's very iconic. You'll find this thing even in modern video games. I mean, that's what probably has clued a lot of people in on what this sight looks like and that it even exists, are things like Call of Duty and Battlefield. So let's go ahead and open up the box. Inside, you're going to find Russian camouflage on a pouch that contains the Kobra. So this is what the Kobra is going to look like. Now I've already installed this rubber sunshade. It has a little tab here that it slides into. It indexes into that little tab, slides forward, and then you just put two screws in that hold this on. Okay, it's rather flimsy, but the sunshade's kind of important from what I've heard. I've not spent a whole lot of time shooting this. Now it's a culminator sight, so you have your LED back here, and it projects the dot onto the lens here, and it should be parallax free. Over on the sides, here are your controls. This is the power switch. You rotate this to turn it on and off. And here you can pick your brightness setting, push on the forward part to make it brighter, rear of it, it's a rocker switch, make it dimmer. And this button here selects between multiple different reticles. Here's the battery compartment. You can use a dime or a nickel. It fits perfectly in there. The older Kobra sights will use a AA battery. The new sights do not. These use a 3-volt CR 1.5 AA or an ER 14250 or Toshiba ER3V or a CR 14250 battery, supposedly for longer life and lighter weight and all that stuff. Honestly, I wish it still used AA batteries. However, you can pick the batteries up at Battery Plus, and they cost about $5, okay? So here's the battery. This is what it looks like. And I have one in the sight, and it's ready to run already. The sight attaches to the AK using the traditional side mount system, so you will need a side mounting rail on your AK. This is just an tensioner. The adjustments are pretty conventional. Have these little protective caps on them. Pop the cap off and you have your adjustments. That's for windage and this is for elevation. We'll talk more about that here in a second. It can be a little bit tricky getting these to zero. The adjustments aren't very intuitive. And then inside you're going to get a little cloth. You're going to get a manual that's in Russian. Completely useless to me because I don't read it. But hey, it's got a certification on the last page, I think. See that? So it's real, man. Hand inspected. It's got the stamp. It's got to be good stuff, right? All right, so it is a real Russian Kobra sight. These things have been around for a while. The Russians never really used them in the military. Military soldiers would buy them and use them, but they weren't issued, from my understanding, to troops. But special operations guys, stuff like that, would buy them and use them in rifles, and you will see them in use with certain military units within the Russian military. But it seems lately the Russians have moved more towards Western optics, using things like aim points and EOTechs, but these are still available, and believe it or not, they're still being imported. This is $399 from Atlantic Firearms. Sometimes these are very hard to come by. I was really glad that Atlantic was finding a way to get these into the country. As you know, we have sanctions against Russia right now. Apparently, they're still able to get these red dot optics. They've come and gone from the market, so they start off being very affordable. Now they're $400. If you want one, it's a really cool addition to your AK collection. Now let me show you the rifle. And you're going to go through the zeroing process and everything with me. Here's my Krebs custom. It's an AK103. It's built on an Arsenal, side folding polymer stock. It's a beautiful gun. What Krebs has done is shortened the barrel, pinned and welded the muzzle device on, moved the front sight back. So we've given up some barrel here, made for a very short overall package. However, the barrel with its pinned and welded muzzle device is still 16 inches in length. Putting the sight on the rifle, super simple. Rotate this locking lever back. You're going to put it right here on the side rail. Just slide it over until it stops. Flip the lever, pull it out, push it in, and that's it. It's on the rifle. So this is what it looks like. Very classic Russian looking sight. I don't know, I'll probably wind up leaving it on this gun. Kind of round out the appearance. I've also brought out one of my favorites. You guys know this if you follow the channel. Bakelite magazines. Now tell me that doesn't look really, really cool. All right, so let's get this sighted in. Let's see how it shoots. Play around a little bit with the Kobra. We got some really interesting light. We have direct sunlight today, so we'll see how well it works in bright light conditions, and kind of give you my general opinion of what I think of the Kobra red dot sight. Let's start shooting. I'm going to load up the Bakelite magazine here really quick. I'm going to use Tula ammunition. I picked this stuff up from LuckyGunner.com. Lucky Gunner is a great company. I really highly recommend supporting them. But this Tula ammo, I got a complaint. Look, if you're Russian and you work at Tula, I have a request. Either use 20-round boxes like we're all used to, or do 30-round boxes. It's all the rage these days, and it makes sense because we all have 30-round magazines. These 40-round boxes of ammunition are just as awkward as the 20-round boxes when you have a 30-round magazine to load. Just please, if you can do me one favor, I'll love you for life. Got my ears. Got my eyes. We have a challenge steel target downrange. I'm going to guess we're about 20 yards away from it. We're just going to see if we can get this thing generally zeroed. What I should also mention is inside, and we're going to need this here in a minute. Inside the packaging, you will get a tool for sight adjustment. All right, and this is what that little tool is going to look like. You will need this. It's got a little spanner wrench. I'll show you how you use this to make adjustments to the sight. So we're going to go ahead and set this over here so I don't lose it. Fire a couple shots here really quick and just see how close the sight is to being on. Go ahead and turn the sight on. To turn the sight on, you just rotate this switch. All right, that turns it on. I'm going to check the brightness really quick. All right, so I have it set just to a simple red dot right now. I'm going to go ahead and use that to get it zeroed. Wow, okay, so it's left to right. It's a little bit off. Elevation's really low. I'm holding center of mass. That one under and left. I'm going to hold up at the head. All right, so that pretty much hit center of mass just a little bit off to the left. As you can see, that first round almost went off the left edge, bottom left edge of the target. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the rifle, and then we're going to make adjustments to the red dot sight and see if we can't get that thing center of mass here really quick. All right, so here's your little tool. Now I'm going to try to make my elevation adjustments without using the tool first. You'll notice you have a little dial here. All right, so I'm going to right what you would think would be up. It's actually down if you turn it to the right clockwise. So I'm going to turn it counterclockwise until it stops. Okay, it stops right there. Now a lot of folks will probably go, and if they don't get it zero, they're going to go, oh no, I'm out of adjustment. What do I do? Well, if I don't have enough adjustment, you use this little spanner tool, you put it in here, you loosen this nut, and this will come loose, and then you can reset it back to zero and tighten it down a little bit, or you can just push down, use friction, and continue your adjustments, okay? But I'm not going to do that just yet. I've cranked it all the way up. Let's just see if that gets us on target here really quick. Let me grab the magazine. I'm guessing I'm going to have to come up quite a bit more. So that only brought it up maybe at this range, maybe 1.5 inches or so. So that's not very much at all. I'm really going to have to loosen that thing and really crank on it to get it to come up. But we're going the right direction. All right, so let me get my tool out here. Yeah, in my last video, you guys were making funny cracks about lubing things. And here I just said, let me get my tool out. This is a family channel, guys. Let's keep our minds out of the gutter. Or not, I really don't care, but it is a family channel. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen this up with this little spanner wrench thing here. I'm gonna loosen this, which will then allow me to continue my adjustments. It's kind of hard to do with sunglasses on. I really should take them off. These are horrible glasses. I can't see anything. I'm blind at this distance. All right, there we go. Come on, baby. Okay, looks like I can turn it. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back. I'm going to push down on it. and get some more adjustments there. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up, rotate it to the right. Sounds like it's clicking, so I'm gonna have to loosen it some here. You don't have to back the screw all the way out. I don't know what happens if you do. All right. I'm guessing, I'm just wildly guessing at this point. I'm gonna tighten this down. Actually, I'm gonna flip this. Try to hold it all together for one shot here, see if I've overcompensated for elevation or not. All right, so it's still left, but it's definitely coming up. So I'm probably gonna have to come up just a little bit more. All right, gotta make sure the weapon's on safe. I'm gonna come up just a wee bit more. Let's try that. One more round. Hopefully, that'll get us about spot on. Make sure I don't lose that little screw. Nah, I definitely need to come up more. That's not what I want to do. All right, we'll screw at that more in a little bit. Let's see what we got here. All right, so it's just off the left edge. I'm gonna have to do the same thing with windage. Pop this little cover over. Okay, so clockwise, you would think it'd go right, actually goes left. We want to go right, so we're gonna crank it to the left all the way. That's probably not gonna give us enough. It's only gonna probably move it 1.5 inches or so to the right. Yeah, we're gonna have to do the same little trick here. Loosen this up. I took it off. You don't want to do that. Just need to get it loose enough, because I'll wind up losing this out here. And then you'll hear just how unfamily friendly the channel can become. All right, I'm gonna put that in my mouth. All right, so we're gonna go left quite a bit more. Let's try that. Let's get it set back to 0 here. See if I can get this to re-engage. Ah! Okay. If you take that little screw off, this is what could happen. This little BB can go flying. This is the detent. I'm gonna have to check the other one now. If you get this thing too loose, that's what happens, okay? See where the little BB engages the detent there? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to put this back to 0. And lock it down. So this is what you want to be super careful of, because if you take the screw all the way off, that's what you have to contend with, is losing that little guy. And that could be a very bad thing. I could really use real tools right about now. All right. All right. So there we go. Let's tighten that guy down. Now I'm just going to double check to make sure I didn't screw something up on the elevation. It seems like the detent's working okay. All right. So we got it back together. That's one thing we need to be very, very careful of, guys. Don't take that thing apart and lose that little tiny steel detent. If you do, you've just screwed up your sight. I wouldn't exactly call this thing military tough. My wife thinks that's disgusting, by the way. I'm gonna move it over to the paper target there, do a hold on the black. All right, so it's grouping just maybe a little bit to the left still. May want to bring it just a hair to the right, but at this distance, being a little bit under the dot is not a bad thing. So at 100 yards, it should be pretty much on. So there you go. That's how you zero the Kobra sight. It's not exactly easy. You don't want to lose the tool, and you probably want to be very careful about doing it in the field so that you don't lose any of the small parts that are used for the adjustments. I'm going to change the reticle over to the T reticle. I don't know if you guys can see that. Not if you can see that with the camera. So that's the classic T reticle. If you guys play video games, you probably recognize that reticle. I'm going to switch it over to that. I'm going to see how close to center it is using it. We're out at the 50-yard line now, and we're going to see if we can hit that steel plate with the Kobra on the AK103. Take a knee. I've turned the brightness up. I have the sun to my back. I'm going to switch the reticle over to the dot. It's a bit of a broad reticle. Now I have another reticle here that has a chevron and a dot above it. I wonder where it's going to hit. So I'm using the dot. I definitely like the dot better for precision aiming. And my assumption that it would be considerably off moving between these reticles, and I'm just going to use the chevron here. Yeah, my assumption was incorrect. Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. So I really like the way the T reticle looks. I'm going back to the dot here. All right. I really like the way that T reticle looks, but functionally, yeah. At distance, it's such a broad reticle, it makes precision shots a little bit harder for me. Maybe not for you, but going back to the dot is what I'm used to. I can definitely take quicker, more precise shots. So while I'm shooting these videos, I'm actually Instagramming live most of the time. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you're going to see this photo. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, please do. I'll put a link down in the description below. I got that thing swaying, man. This thing does not move off target. Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, this little AK, man, it has zero recoil. These muzzle brakes really work well, man. That dot just stays on that target, and you can just beat the snot out of it with the 7.62 x 39. I'm directly facing the sun right now. I have the Kobra pretty much on its brightest setting, okay? And I just have the dot reticle. The sun is right here. I can cleanly see the dot. I'm gonna start moving it towards the sun. Now I can get right up to the left of the sun. The sun is about that far out of my field of view, and I can still see that dot clearly, all right? I'm not gonna look right at the sun for obvious reasons. Try the different reticle. This is the T reticle. It washes out. It'd be a lot harder to pick up a target with that T-post system, it washes out quite a bit more. The chevron and the dot, that dot is brighter actually than the chevron. I can still make out that dot very easily. And then just the chevron, it's kind of like the T-post, fades out a little bit in bright light directly into it. And then just a standard dot, yeah, fine, that thing's bright. I definitely think the standard dot is going to be the easiest one to pick up in pretty much all lighting conditions. And it's a very clean view. You know, I don't really see any color shift. That's not to say there isn't any, but it's very little. Now you can see that it has that orange iridescent look to it, but when you're actually looking through the sight, I really don't notice it. I don't know if it's just me being able to ignore it or what, but it actually has a really clean sight picture. Now what's kind of weird is when you're looking through the red dot sight, first of all, it sets up fairly high, so you have a horrible cheek weld, and then you have this big block back here, which technically is at least blocking the lower third of the lens here. But when you shoulder it, it actually doesn't seem to be an issue. You kind of look right past this. You can pick up the dot easily. It is awkward, I will say that. Definitely awkward. At least it's not like other Russian optics. It's set off to the left. It's center over bore. And it works pretty well. I definitely think I'm going to wind up leaving it on here. Battery power on these things, they say, is probably about 8 to 10,000 hours. I really don't know. That was with the AA's. I don't know what it's going to do with the batteries it's using. They say it gives it longer life with these batteries. I'll find out. I'll let you guys know how long the batteries last in this thing before I actually have to switch it out. You do want to make sure you turn it off when you're done at night or when you're done shooting. But yeah, I think it looks awesome on the rifle, and it certainly seems to work quite well. And the dot's very clean, doesn't bloom real bad. Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. And it looks sharp on the gun only because it looks like it belongs on there. Cool stuff. We're going to wind things up this afternoon, guys. I've kept your attention here long enough. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed checking out the Kobra. I was going to say new. There's nothing new about this. This is a new version, though. Some of you guys might actually say, because I saw this on Instagram, that this is a fake or a copy. It is not. This is the real Russian Kobra sight. They have changed a little bit over the years. This is what they currently look like. It's $399 from Atlantic Firearms. I highly recommend, if you haven't already, checking out Atlantic Firearms website. Those guys have been around forever. Class acts. I've been doing business with them for a very long time, and I love the fact that they're bringing in these classic Russian optics so you can complete your AK build. If you guys have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, you can ask those questions on our Facebook page. If you would like to support the Military Arms channel, the best possible way to do that is to swing by Copper Custom and buy something like this patch. It's $3.99. We sell rifles, we sell handguns, we sell all sorts of cool stuff at good prices. And if you haven't already, please check out full30.com. That's full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators and brought them under one roof, and it is the full30.com roof. Again, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Mac won't let me shoot a video with this.